Good morning, class, and welcome to our second science lesson. Our topic for today is still energy, and the subtopic we are finishing with the types of energy. And just to remind you about the types of energy, because we have discussed a number of them, we have talked about chemical energy. Number 2, we talked about heat energy. Number 3, we discussed in details about light energy. We also went ahead and talked about magnetic energy. Electrical or electric energy. Then we have the last two, which is sound energy and mechanical. We said now chemical energy is found in substances such as food, meat, or fuels. And when we talk about fuels, these are substances which can burn, and they include firewood, charcoal, diesel, paraffin. All those ones, they have a chemical energy. We talked about heat energy, and we said heat energy is also known as thermal energy. The light energy, we talked about the sources of light, and we said we have two bodies which we can say they produce light. We have direct sources, which we also say they are called luminous bodies. These ones, they produce their own light. Then we have other bodies which reflect light, which are known as non-luminous or direct sources. In magnetic energy, we said magnets can do work, and we listed things which possess magnetic energy, whereby we said we have magnets themselves. We also have a special stone called lodestone. We have the earth surface and electromagnets. Then in electric energy, we talked about the two forms of electricity. That is the current electricity and static electricity. Today I want us to look at sound energy. And when we talk about sound, sound is produced when objects vibrate. Sound is produced when objects vibrate. As the teacher is talking now, I'm producing sound. We have something along the elementary canal, which is called vocal cords. These are the ones which vibrate to produce sound. So an object has to vibrate for the sound to be produced. Then sound travels in all directions. As the teacher is talking, anybody seated at all the corners of the room can be able to hear the sound, because sound travels in all directions. Even here at school, we are controlled by the school bell. The bell is placed at one point, like in our school, which is in class 7. But when the bell is rung, when you are in your classes, which are located in different parts of the school, you can be able to hear the bell. Also, when you are within the school compound or even outside the school compound, you can be able to hear the bell, because the sound travels in all directions. This sound is produced by a number of ways. As you can observe, you can produce sound by hitting or beating, and the instrument which you can beat or hit to produce sound is the drum. We shall see examples of drums. You can also produce sound through plucking, e.g. the guitar. You can also produce sound by blowing, like we have the blowing instruments, like we have the trumpet. You can also blow the horn and the flute. Those ones produce sound. You can also produce sound through shaking, like you can shake the shakers. So these are some of the instruments. Most of them, they are musical instruments which can be used to produce sound energy. And when you observe, we have talked about drums which produce sound by beating or hitting. These are different types of drums. We have traditional drums, we also have modern drums. So these drums you hit on the upper part, like this one, the small instrument placed on top is the one which used to hit the drums to produce sound. We have modern drums here, and as you can see now, this musician here is trying to produce sound by hitting the drums. We also have the guitars, which we have said they can produce sound through plucking. These are different types of guitars, and the man on this side is plucking the guitars to produce sound. We have the trumpet. This is how it looks like, which produces sound by blowing. As you can observe, this man on this side is blowing a trumpet to produce sound. We also have the horn. It can be from any animal. It can be from a cow, from a rhino. Then you blow the way this man is doing to produce sound. Then we also have the flutes. There are several holes. We have these ones which are adjacent to one another. Then we have this one on this side. And as you can observe, this man is blowing the flute to produce sound. You blow on this hole, then you control these ones by closing them using your fingers to control the movement of sound. And the last instrument, they are the shakers. As you can observe, they come in different types and varieties. Inside this part, we have the beads or small stones or some grains, such that when you shake them, they produce sound. So as you shake them, they are vibrating to produce sound. Then you realize now, sound travels through the state of matter. Sounds cannot move where there is no state of matter. Sound travels through solids, liquids, and gases. But we find sound travels fastest through solids and slowest through gases. Now, for sound to move, either in the state of matter, either in the solids, in the liquids, and the gases, we find now in the states of matter, we have small particles called molecules. These are the small parts which make up the matter. Like you find now in solids, these molecules are very close to one another. And for sound to move, it has to connect from one molecule to another. That's why we find now it travels fast through solids, because the molecules are close to one another. But you find in gases, the molecules are moving freely. They are somehow spaced. That's why we say sound travels poorest or slowest through gases. Then there is no transmission of sound in a vacuum. It is not the first time you are coming across the word vacuum. So when we talk about a vacuum, this one is an empty space without matter. Empty space without matter, and the matter is either solid, liquid, or gases. So sounds cannot be transmitted in a vacuum. If you are in a vacuum, or in a vacuum, there is no transmission of sound. The only energy which can be transmitted in a vacuum is only light energy and heat energy. So these two can be transmitted in a vacuum because they don't need any media. Light does not need, not necessarily either solid, liquid or gas to be transmitted. It can pass in a vacuum, but sound does not move in a vacuum. Then sound can be reflected, and reflected sound is called echo. And you'll bear with me sometimes when you are walking, especially in a building whereby we have some empty rooms and you speak from outside, you'll hear your voice from the other side being reflected. That is what we call echo. Reflected sound is known as echo. Then this sound travels faster when the day is hotter than when cold. Because when the day is hotter, it means now the molecules, because I've told you for the sound to move, it has to be transmitted through the molecules. The molecules, they move faster on a hot day than a cold day. That's why sound travels faster when the day is hotter than when cold, because the molecules, they tend to move faster on a hot day than a cold day. Sound travels in waves. The way you normally go near the sea or next to the sea, the beaches, and you see waves moving in water. That's how sound moves. Sound travels in waves. Then we have these three important terms as far as sound is concerned, which you learned them back in class 5. Just to remind you, they are very important as far as sound is concerned. You have amplification. This one is making sound louder.